Have you ever tried to catch the sun with your bare hands? As a child, I was convinced that if I stood at the edge of our cliffside home in Mesa Verde and reached out just right, I could cradle the glowing orb as it dipped below the horizon. Growing up in the Cliff Palace, around 1200 CE, was an adventure filled with laughter, mischief, and the boundless curiosity that comes with being 10 years old. Our village was nestled snugly into the sandstone alcoves, a maze of rooms and kivas that clung to the cliff face like swallow nests. Over 100 families lived there, and it seemed like I was related to half of them. My family's dwelling was near the center, close enough to hear the distant echoes of the communal gatherings, but far enough that my brother Tovo and I could sneak out without immediate detection. Mornings began with the soft glow of dawn painting the canyon walls in shades of pink and gold. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of sagebrush and the earthy aroma of clay pots warming over fires. I'd wake to the gentle sound of my mother's humming as she ground cornmeal, the rhythmic stone-on-stone scraping serving as a comforting lullaby, coaxing me into the day. "Up with you, little one," she'd call softly. "The sun waits for no sleepyheads." I stretch and yawn, the smooth sandstone cool beneath my feet as I scrambled to help her. My mother was renowned for her pottery, beautiful vessels adorned with intricate patterns of the sun, moon, and stars. She was patient with my clumsy attempts, guiding my small hands as I shaped the pliable clay. "Remember," she'd say with a wink, "the pot takes the shape of the hands that mold it. Be gentle, but firm." Meanwhile, Tovo had already darted outside, likely on some grand quest to find the biggest stick or the shiniest pebble. He was 2 years younger, but twice as adventurous. One time, he convinced me to join him in borrowing a piece of dried meat from Grandmother Nova's stash. "She won't miss just one," he insisted, eyes gleaming with mischief. We crept into her dwelling, hearts pounding like drums, only to be met with her stern gaze and a barely suppressed smile. "If you wanted a treat, all you had to do was ask," she chided gently, handing us each a piece and sending us on our way. Our days were filled with exploration. The cliff dwellings were a labyrinth of secret passages and hidden alcoves, perfect for hide and seek. My friends Lilu, Kima, and I would spend hours searching for petroglyphs, the ancient carvings left by our ancestors. Each discovery was a new story waiting to be told. "Look at this one," Lilu exclaimed, pointing to a spiral dish into the rock. "It's a portal to the spirit world." "Or maybe it's just a snail," I teased, dodging the playful shove she aimed my way. The sounds of our laughter would echo off the canyon walls, mingling with the distant chatter of the adults and the gentle cooing of doves nesting in the cliffs. Occasionally, the sharp cry of an eagle soaring overhead would remind us of the vast world beyond our village, a world that seemed both exciting and a little terrifying. When the midday sun became too intense, we'd retreat to the cool shadows of the kivas. The earthy scent of packed dirt floors, mixed with the smoky aroma of smoldering fires, provided a cozy refuge. There, the elders would sometimes gather us for lessons, sharing stories and songs passed down through generations. "Why does Coyote always get into trouble?" Tovo once asked during a tale about the trickster spirit. Grandfather Matto chuckled, the lines on his weathered face crinkling. "Because, little one, Coyote reminds us that even the clever can be foolish, and even the foolish have something to teach us." Our community thrived on such wisdom. The seasons dictated our routines, planting in the spring, tending crops through the summer, harvesting in the fall, and preparing for the harsh winters. I loved the harvest time best, when the air was filled with the sweet scent of ripe maize and the tangy aroma of wild berries. One autumn afternoon, my mother took me to gather wild herbs. The sun cast long shadows as we walked, the ground crunching softly beneath our sandals. "Close your eyes," she instructed, handing me a sprig of sagebrush. "Tell me what you smell." I inhaled deeply. "It smells fresh, like the wind after a storm." She smiled. "Good. Now, remember that scent. One day, it may guide you home." I didn't fully grasp her meaning then, but the fragrance of sagebrush became forever linked to memories of safety and belonging. Our traditions were the heartbeat of our society. Ceremonies marked the passage of time, the changing seasons, and significant life events. During the winter solstice, we gathered in the largest kiva, the air thick with the smoky scent of pine and the resonant drum of drums. Flames from the central fire danced shadows along the walls as we listened to tales of how the sun was coaxed back from its journey to warm the earth once more. But life was not without its challenges. Drought had begun to creep into our land, the once plentiful streams reduced to mere trickles. The elders spoke in hushed tones about the need to conserve water and consider moving to new lands. "Will we have to leave our home?" I asked my father one evening as we sat overlooking the moonlit canyon. He sighed, wrapping an arm around me. "Perhaps. But home is not just a place, it's where our family is, where our hearts are. Wherever we go, we carry our home within us." His words comforted me, though the thought of leaving the cliffs was unimaginable. The very stones seemed to hum with the spirits of our ancestors. One particularly dry summer, the crops struggled, and food became scarce. Yet, even in hardship, our community pulled together. Families shared what they could, and no one was left wanting. I remember helping distribute stored grain, the rough texture of the woven baskets scratching against my arms. The gratitude in the eyes of those we helped warmed me more than the sun ever could. "See how we are stronger together," my mother said, her eyes reflecting the glow of the setting sun. "This is the way of our people." As the drought persisted, some families made the difficult decision to leave in search of better lands. Saying goodbye to friends was hard. Lilu's family was among those departing. "Promise you'll find me someday," she said, pressing a small clay figurine into my hand, a tiny bird she'd crafted herself. "I promise," I replied, swallowing the lump in my throat. The figurine became my treasure, a tangible memory of our friendship. I kept it tucked safely in a pouch, the smooth clay cool against my fingertips whenever I held it. Despite the uncertainty, moments of joy still filled our lives. One day, while exploring a new part of the cliffside, Tovo and I stumbled upon a hidden alcove where wild honeybees had built a nest. "Look," he whispered excitedly, pointing to the golden honeycomb glistening in the sunlight. Our mouths watered at the sight. Carefully, we devised a plan involving a long stake and a lot of bravery. After several failed attempts and a few bee stings, we managed to extract a piece of the honeycomb. The taste was heavenly, a burst of sweetness that melted on the tongue. We ran back to share our prize with our parents, who laughed at our sticky faces and swollen fingers. "You're as bold as bears and twice as stubborn," my father chuckled, dabbing ointment on our stings. As I grew, so did my responsibilities. I spent more time helping in the fields, learning to weave baskets, and perfecting my pottery skills. The feel of clay under my nails, the smell of wet earth, and the sight of a perfectly shaped pot drying in the sun brought a sense of accomplishment. One evening, I presented my mother with a pot made entirely on my own, decorated with symbols of the sun and moon. "It's beautiful," she said softly, tracing the designs with her fingers. You have a gift. Her praise filled me with pride. It was in these simple moments that I understood the importance of our traditions and the skills passed down through generations. As the years went on, the signs became clear that our time in the Cliff Palace was nearing an end. The springs were drying up, and the game was becoming scarce. The elders decided it was time to move on, to seek new lands where we could thrive once more. Packing up our lives was a solemn task. I helped wrap our belongings in woven blankets, the familiar sense of home clinging to the fabric. Before we left, I stood at the edge of the cliff, taking in the sight of our village one last time, the honey-colored stone glowing in the morning light, the intricate dwellings that had been our sanctuary. Ready? My father asked, his hand resting gently on my shoulder. I nodded, slipping the clay bird figurine into my pouch. Yes. Home is where we are together. Our journey was long, filled with new sights, sounds, and experiences. But the lessons from my childhood remained etched in my heart. I carried with me the laughter that once echoed off the canyon walls, the warmth of communal fires, and the wisdom of elders who taught me to respect the land and its cycles. Looking back now, I realize that those formative years among the cliffs taught me resilience, compassion, and the beauty of simplicity. Life may have been harsh at times, but it was rich in ways that truly mattered. The sandstone cliffs of Mesa Verde were more than just a backdrop to my childhood, they were a living part of me, a testament to the strength and unity of our people. So, when the winds whisper through the canyons and the sun casts its golden glow upon the earth, I close my eyes and smile, remembering the girl who once tried to catch the sun and believed the echoes could lead you home.